Welcome to Total Training for Adobe Dreamweaver CS4 Advanced. My name is Jeremy Osborne. As an author, I've written a few books on print design, web design, and digital video. Most recently, I was the author for the Adobe Dreamweaver CS4 Digital Classroom Series for Wiley. I'm also the Director of Content for AGI Training, and you can learn more about our classes and training at www.agitraining.com. Now, in this advanced training, you'll learn how to use Dreamweaver's many features to their fullest, as well as learning fundamental concepts on how to create web pages using pure CSS layout. Before we get started, I'll start with a review of how to define a website using Dreamweaver's Site feature. Even if you've used Dreamweaver in the past, it's probably worthwhile to review this chapter. So let's get started. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to create a site definition in Dreamweaver CS4. Now we're calling this a review chapter because chances are you may have done this before. However, it's important to realize that this process is one that you'll be using for the rest of these chapters. And even if you've done this before, you might find some new features that you may not have seen. So let's go ahead and get started here. You'll want to click on Site, New Site, and this will open up the site definition window in Dreamweaver CS4. It's important to note that we have two tabs here, Basic and Advanced. You'll want to be in the Basic tab for now, although later we'll be looking at some of the advanced features. So in Dreamweaver, the term site refers to the local and remote storage locations where the files that make up your website are stored. To take full advantage of Dreamweaver's features, you should always start by creating a site. In this instance, we're creating a site from scratch. Again, in the next lesson, we'll be looking at how to import a pre-existing site using these same commands. However, for now, let's go ahead and name this site Creating a Site Definition. And we're going to go ahead and do this in the first field here. So it's important to note that the values within this field are relatively arbitrary. We could call this whatever we want. The second field says what is the HTTP address of your site. Now, if you have a pre-existing domain that you're going to be using, you could go ahead and put this in. Doing so is going to allow you later on to help link check. However, for now, we're going to go ahead and keep this empty. Let's go ahead and click Next. On the second page, we're asked if we want to use a server technology such as Cold Fusion, ASP.NET, or PHP. And we're going to leave the default choice selected. No, we do not want to use a server technology. Let's go ahead and click Next. Now this screen is fairly important. The first option is generally the one you're going to be leaving it on. Edit local copies on my machine, then upload to server when ready. The other option would mean that you're actually editing files as they're live on your network. It's generally not a good idea. However, if you know what you're doing, you can go ahead and choose that. Now this last section here is probably the most important. Where on your computer do you want to store your files? You can see that as you're creating a site from scratch, as you're doing here, Dreamweaver will actually create a new folder for you somewhere within your directory. Now what we want to do is override that, and we want to tell Dreamweaver to make a new folder on our desktop, and that's where all the files for our website will be stored. In order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and click on this folder icon here. The Choose Local Root Folder window appears. I'm going to go ahead and click on Desktop, and I'm going to choose New Folder. And within this folder, I'm going to go ahead and name this Chapter 1. Now obviously if you're on the PC, your directory structure is going to be a little different. However, you can still go ahead and make a Chapter 1 folder on your desktop. Now with that Chapter 1 folder selected, go ahead and click Choose. And you're all set. Let's go ahead and click Next. In this window, we're asked how do you want to connect to your remote server. We'll be looking at some of the advanced features in this, especially in our last chapter. However, if we click on this menu, we can see that the current default selection is set to local or network. In fact, we're not going to be remotely using a server at all in this example, so I'm going to go ahead and choose None. What this means is that our files will remain in one single folder within our desktop. Let's go ahead and click Next, and here we can see a summary of all the settings that we're using. I'm going to go ahead and click Done here. Now I'd like to show you one other thing here, and that's how to modify a pre-existing site such as the one we've just created. Let's say that we realize we made a mistake and we'd like to go back and change a setting. In order to change a pre-existing site, we go up to Site, Manage Sites. Now it's possible to have a number of different sites within this window. Since we just have one, we're going to go ahead and select it and choose Edit. And here we have access to our wizard once again. Let's go ahead and click on the Advanced section just for a moment here. When you click on the Advanced tab, we have a list of categories in the left-hand column, and we have some expanded features that are not found in the Basic category. So for example, within the local information, we can see here that we can set up a default images folder. Go ahead and click within that field, click on that folder icon, and go ahead and choose New Folder and type Images and click Create. Go ahead and click Choose. And what you've just done is you've created a new folder called Images, which is located within your Chapter 1 root directory. Now it's important to note here that many of the same settings we saw in the Basic category are available here within the Advanced. So if I click on Remote Info, we can see that some of the same settings we found in the Basic wizard are located here. Testing server is the same, and we have additional features that we didn't see within the Basic view, such as version control. We also have options such as cloaking, design notes, file view columns, contribute, templates, and the Spry category. Again, we may be coming into some of these within our advanced lessons. For now, go ahead and click OK, and then click Done. So what you've just learned is how to create a new site in Dreamweaver using the Site Definition Wizard.